If you are able to give a contribution via Super Thanks, you will receive a shoutout in an upcoming video, as well as help grow my channel. Super Chat is below. On June 16, 1994, bassist for Courtney Love's band Hole was found dead in her Seattle apartment. Kristen Pfaff was found unresponsive in her bathtub by her friend Paul Erickson. Kristen's death was ruled an accidental overdose of heroin. In 1993, Kristen was playing with her band Janitor Joe in a Seattle club when Hole frontwoman Courtney Love introduced herself to Kristen. Hole had just signed with Geffen Records, and they're about to start recording a new album. Hole's bassist, Leslie Hardy, had recently parted ways with the band, and Kristen was offered the job. After some convincing and a large financial offer, Kristen accepted and was crowned Hole's temporary bassist. The band headed to Atlanta to record Hole's breakthrough album, Live Through This. Kristen had began a relationship with Hole guitarist and ex-boyfriend of Courtney, Eric Erlandson. Within weeks of joining Hole and being cast into the Seattle scene, Kristen was addicted to heroin. Kristen most likely felt pressured by her peers to try heroin, and one shot was all it took. Kristen and Courtney's friendship had started to dwindle, as the two frequently got into arguments and was nearly let go by the band. There's rumors that Kristen actually feared Courtney as well. It didn't help her case when rumors came out that Kristen Pfaff and Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain were having an affair. Kurt and Kristen had a lot in common, talking about art, books, and music. Jason Pfaff alleges that Cobain gave Kristen his own personal copy of the novel, Perfume. This further supports that Kristen was having an affair with Kurt. Kristen and Eric Erlandson broke up around Christmas 1993, and Kristen flew home to Minneapolis to await Hole's summer tour. She was reportedly devastated by Kurt's death, and quit drugs that day, and entered a Minnesota rehab clinic. After a couple months, Kristen had straightened out her life. She rejoined her old band Janitor Joe and flew to Europe for a brief tour in May of 1994. Kristen told friends and family that she had no intentions of regrouping with Hole, and that she was done with the animosity between the band. Meanwhile, Kristen was being hailed as one of the best female bassists in the entire country, and many credited Live Through This' success to Kristen's admirable bass playing. Hole was not happy with these claims, especially since Kristen had left the band high and dry. Kristen decided to visit Seattle one last time in order to clean out her apartment there before permanently settling in Minneapolis. A family friend and security guard named Michael was set to accompany Kristen in Seattle, but pulled out of the trip at the last minute. Paul Erickson, a friend and band member Kristen knew, accompanied her there instead, with the two arriving in Seattle on June 14, 1994. There were said to be more heroin addicts per square foot in Kristen's Capitol Hill neighborhood that year than in any other district in the entire United States. Later that night, Kristen called her Janitor Joe bandmate and told him she was happy to return to Minneapolis. Around 8 p.m., Paul left Kristen alone in the apartment. At 9:30 p.m., Paul returned to the apartment to find Kristen asleep in the bathtub. He thought nothing of it, as she often did this, so he went to bed for the night. The next morning, Paul discovered that the door was still locked from the night before. When he got no response from Kristen, he kicked the door in to find her kneeling in an inch of water, unconscious in the tub. Paul rushed to a phone booth around the corner to call 911, but it was too late. Police discovered in a cosmetic bag on the floor numerous syringes and heroin paraphernalia. On June 17th, the King County medical examiner declared Kristen's death accidental. They did not name the person who conducted the autopsy. Years later, it was revealed that Nicholas Hartshorn, the medical examiner who performed the autopsy of Kurt Cobain, was the man who did Kristen's autopsy. Hole released a statement saying that the death would not impact the band's upcoming summer tour. Courtney told the media in a statement, quote, "I'm deeply anguished over Kristen's death. We are obviously shaken by the tragedies affecting the band in the last months, but have decided to continue on." Despite the family barring all members of Hole from attending the funeral, Eric Erlandson showed up anyways, draping himself over Kristen's casket, leading to security removing him from the service. Months later, it was said that Eric Erlandson had been at Kristen's condo that night, and even talked to Paul Erickson while Kristen was in the tub. Why Erlandson was there is unknown. Maybe he wanted to speak to Kristen, but how would Eric even know she was back in Seattle in the first place? Another question is, how did Kristen get her hands on the heroin she overdosed on, and who's it from? Kristen was found kneeling in an inch of water, which is especially strange. Kneeling is an extremely uncommon position for a body to stay in, and it wasn't revealed how long Kristen was dead before being discovered. And also, an inch of water, unless Kristen had been in the bath, shot up, unplugged the drain to get out, stood up, and then immediately overdosed and collapsed onto her knees, I just find it weird how she was found in that position. Nearly 30 years later, the facts of the passing are up for debate, and what Kristen did in the hour and a half she was left alone will never be solved. This could just be a case of Kristen struggling and relapsing, but we will never know for sure, and nothing can really be ruled out. I'm not going to address further theories. If you guys want to talk about what you think happened, please leave it in the comments below, but I'm going to cap this video off here.